Hey, everybody, and welcome to a very special episode of Frank About Health. What makes this special? Number one, it is being recorded. Well, it's live stream as well, but it's being recorded on my mobile phone because unfortunately, technology has not been a friend of mine for the last few weeks. But how fitting then to talk about AI and healthcare on this show with Morry Zelcovitch, where we're going to look at the technology and the innovations of the future. I guess in order to make this a very streamless and seamless show, meaning streamless in terms of difficulties, I had to have it on my mobile spot because the 5G has more bandwidth than my natural desktop, where that has been resolved. There'll be a new computer at work next week. But more importantly, if you had heard my previous show, which was on the introduction to cardiac health awareness month, with Karen Ross and Retha Gray, I had said I was going to be in Cleveland's Hilton Hotel with Morry, and unfortunately, due to technical difficulties, we're here at NYU Langone. But you know what? Hilton is a family member of mine now, so they'll take a look at us in future shows. We just want to give you the AI story for Cardiac Awareness Month. I'm wearing my colors, and just want to be able to have Morry, who's been on the show before, discussing about the Morry method. We talked about Alzheimer's disease. We talked about using bone conduction headphones for people with sleep disorders. We've talked about his sound and audio and video files that are used to help with brain entrainment. But he now is an expert in AI, and I just knew that after attending some of the webinars that he has been conducting over the last few months, that he has to be on this show and educate us on AI. So we're going to fit it into the healthcare story, and in particular, cardiac care. But because of his neurological experience, we'll talk about neurological health and other kinds of health issues that AI is going to be innovative in the future. But let's issue this disclaimer, Morry. I know this is the most exciting part of the show. Any of the topics and information that is shared on this discussion or during this hour is food for thought, not meant to dissuade you from ongoing treatments, ongoing medications, ongoing discussions with your PCP, primary care physician, or any specialist. Please do not take any of the dialogue that Morry and I share as us instructing you what to believe and what not to believe. And if you don't, there are other podcasts to watch. But if you do, know that this could be food for thought to help you in your ongoing treatment protocol. They're not the views of TalkRadio.nyc or of Frank About Health, but they are the views of the discussion that Morry and I will share in the next hour. That all being said, Morry, welcome back to Frank About Health. This is show number 6 for you. And I want you to just take off from the way that you presented yourself at the webinar that I last saw you at on Tuesday, and tell me what you know that AI is going to be bringing to the healthcare space in 2024.
Well, hello, everybody. And Frank, thank you so much for having me back again. I certainly appreciate it. I feel like I should be getting a desk for myself now at NYC Langone. I need my own little office there. I think half a dozen times it qualifies me as a member. So again, hello, everybody. You know, AI is interesting because people either think it's the best thing in the world or they think it's the end of the world. And it's like anything else. A car can be a wonderful device. You can use it to drive you to a restaurant or to a hospital if you need care. You can use it to take you on a holiday. You can also use it to drive through a restaurant and run a whole bunch of people over. It's not the car itself that is bad. It's not AI itself that is bad. It is the person who's instructing it, who's using it. Their intention is basically what is expressed. So I want people to realize that there was a time before electricity. I'm sure nobody here who's listening to this remembers that time, but there was a time before electricity. I don't remember that time either, despite the fact I look like I used to ride a dinosaur to work and back. So the thing is that we really manifest what we think we see, and what we think we see because of our opinions that we form in our brain. So the most important thing to remember is that when electricity made its debut, everyone thought that was the end of the world. When cars made their debut, everyone thought that was the end of the world. When computers came along, everybody thought, uh-oh, now we're going to lose all all ability to communicate with each other. When smartphones came along, blah, blah, blah. When this came along, hey, those of you who were alive in the year 2000 when it switched over, there used to be a thing called Y2K. Everybody thought the whole world's going to stop working because computers don't know how to switch to a new millennium, which
I
was like
remember.
dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life, quite frankly. Even back then when I was living that time, it was just blew me away. I remember I had a really garbagey computer, an old monochrome. Believe it or not, folks, there was monitors that had like gold lettering and green background. That's what the monitor looked like, right?
Yeah,
And I remember I sat around with a bunch of my friends and we popped open a bunch of beers and everything. And we set my computer to 10 minutes to midnight, 20 or the year 2000, 1999. And
right.
we all sat there drinking beer, watching my computer. This was like months and months before the actual year changed over. And my piece of crap computer kept working.
And what did it
Like,
have? 00, or how did it
no, it
change
went
the
to the
date?
year 2000. It changed to 2000. Everything kept working. Everything was fine. So obviously, it was a lot of fear mongering because I can't believe that I was the only person who did that. You would think the high priced technicians and engineers and at IBM and all these different companies would have done that too, just to see. But no, they were panicking everybody because that's what sells, right? I can sell you a kit on how to survive the world when there's an apocalypse, and you'll buy it if I can make you scared enough. So
Yeah,
that's
it
my
was a
point.
campaign, that's for sure.
Yeah. So I don't want to get too far off topic, but we're going to talk about
Right,
how AI is relevant in this world today and how not only like heart health and heart research, but it can help with so many things. Now, the
right,
thing we need to remember is that the human brain is still the ultimate computing device. There's no question about it. But how we operate based on a get in line and we'll deal with one thing at a time. AI can deal with hundreds of thousands of things at the same time. That brings the time frame down to next to nothing.
right.
And we're going to see cures in 4 or 5 years that we may not have seen for 400 or 500 years. We're going to move
Exactly.
ahead in our technology. You know, whatever we think is cool now or fascinating now or Star Trekky now is nothing compared to what we're going to see in the very near future. You know, I'm wearing a smartwatch. I don't know why
Mhm.
it's smart. I had to do everything to make it work properly. So it's not that smart, really. But
Right.
you know, this thing actually will give me my blood pressure. It'll give me my blood oxygen level. It'll give me my heart rate. It'll give me my stress levels. They even have some watches now that without pricking you will give you your blood glucose levels.
Very
So
nice.
anything and everything is possible. It depends on the person starting it off. That's what AI is. AI will do nothing if you don't give it a reason to do something.
Right.
So I've kind of come up with a line that more or less says, I think, therefore AI. In other words, AI doesn't exist without a human thinking first. And that is the really important thing to remember. And the more a human being thinks first, the better
Hmm.
the result is going to be in whatever AI kicks out at you afterwards. And we're going to
Yeah.
kind of look through that a little bit, and I'll demo a little bit by just giving you some quick information with how you can use AI and how the world is going to use AI to make our heart health that much better. Now, look, we have supposedly real intelligence, and yet people still smoke, and yet people still binge watch on Netflix 24 hours a day, and they don't move. We know we need to move. Research is showing just walking, not even fast, but walking as little as 4,000 steps a day makes a massive difference to your overall health and heart health.
Right.
That's 4,000 steps. That's nothing. You know,
Hmm.
I went out for 40 minutes and I did 4,000 steps without even thinking about it today. Got a little
Incredible.
fresh air too before the snow came. By the way, we're in the middle of what is called a snowstorm, but
Yeah.
don't feel bad for me because I looked out the window just a little while ago and it was stunningly beautiful.
Mm.
So the
Yeah.
reason why I bring that up is because how we look at things defines how we feel about things, defines how we react to things. What
Correct.
stresses one person out makes someone else happy.
Mm-hmm.
So why
Absolutely.
not just choose to be happy, right?
Correct. Correct. I just want to
Mm.
bring up a point of what you're saying, like with the Y2K example, and even just what you said about, I think, therefore AI. It's really our responsibility to provide the input in order to reach the maximum efficacy that AI can bring, especially in healthcare. And I guess people who are afraid of it, they're probably just not trusting themselves and what they're going to tell AI to do. Or they're probably afraid of even learning what AI is for, believing in the hype or the negative hype, if you will, and just deciding that therefore it's negative and it's not something to really look at. It's like, ooh, stay away. No, if people own their own brain, literally and figuratively, and realize that they are in control of what they want to get from a new source of innovation or technology, then that should bring about positivity and confidence, and then therefore use it as a friend or a companion rather than some evil, maniacal threat to the future.
That's it. There used to be ironsmiths on every corner. You know, everyone rode around on a horse and they needed horseshoes. So there were people making horseshoes and then
Yeah,
shoeing horses. And they don't exist anymore. There used to be a lot of businesses that
yeah.
existed but don't exist anymore because of advances.
Mm-hmm.
So this is nature. This is natural. You know, people still work.
Yes.
They have other jobs now. That's all. You re-educate, you relearn, you move on. This is not a bad thing.
Yes.
AI is there to help because it was designed by people.
Right. Right.
And people design everything to make a difference, even those so-called like I don't believe in evil, I don't believe in good. Those are just definitions that we give to things. I think that if I look at something as a positive, as a
Mm-hmm.
benefit, then I will be able to use it that way. If I look at it and I'm afraid of it, I won't use it that way and I won't even use it. You see, when I was talking about the whole Ironsmith thing, people who don't see the value or don't see the opportunity or allow themselves to be afraid of artificial intelligence are
Mm-hmm.
ripping themselves off. They're not ripping anyone else off. Dinosaurs
Yes.
used to dominate the planet, then came an asteroid, and now they don't dominate the planet. Well, things like computers, things like smartphones, things like AI can be considered little mini asteroids hitting the Earth. And we can adapt or we can
Yes.
die. And
Well,
in a
we're
manner
going
of
to have to
speaking,
now. No,
adapting is
I'm
the way
just
to be.
exactly. I was just going to say we're going to have to adapt right now to the 2 minute break that has been imposed upon us. Now, ladies and gentlemen, normally at this point, I would probably during the commercial break show you a picture of the Hilton that we stayed at last week. That would have been the place of the show, or I could show you Maury's website. But I'm on my mobile phone, so you'll just see our faces instead. At least that's true and not AI in action. So that being said, please stay tuned as we will cover in the next two segments about two particular AI technologies that have been talked about in mass media and that will be very instrumental in the healthcare space over the coming year and beyond. As right here, as we are being frank about AI with Morry Zelcovitch on TalkRadio.nyc and on our Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Twitch feeds. So please stay tuned. We'll be back in a few.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour Awakening Humanity, Thursdays 12 noon on TalkRadio.nyc.
Are you a high-achieving, growth-oriented leader? Are you interested in developing your authentic leadership while creating a healthy, inclusive workplace? Hi, I'm Dr. Mira Brancu, host of The Hard Skills on TalkRadio.nyc at 5 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays, where we discuss how leaders develop the hard skills needed to make a greater impact. We interview experts, have live coaching, and tackle these challenges. Listen to the hard skills on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on TalkRadio.nyc.
Are you a business owner? Do you want to be a business owner? Do you work with business owners? Hi, I'm Stephen Fry, your small and medium-sized business or SMB guy, and I'm the host of the new show, Always Friday. While I love to have fun on my show, we take those Friday feelings of freedom and clarity to discuss popular topics on the minds of SMBs today. Please join me and my various special guests on Friday at 11 a.m. on TalkRadio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC. Uplift, educate, empower.
Oh, hey, everybody. Welcome back. I actually lost there I am. Sorry about that. Welcome back to segment 2 of this episode of Frank About Health. Now, AI is involved in all areas of life. We all know that. But this is called Frank About Health. So we want to talk about healthcare in particular. And I gather we could talk about it from first the cardiac perspective, then the neurological as the primary drivers, or we can talk about it from the particular types of AI software and systems and then apply it to the healthcare issue. So that being said, Morry, I will let you dictate the direction of how we talk about AI in healthcare. Do we talk about the system first or the condition?
Well, I think it's best to let AI take the lead here and
All
tell
right,
us
then.
what to do instead, because it thinks on many more levels than I do. And even though I'm pretty
Okay.
smart, it blows me out of the water, quite literally. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to share my screen. And in a second, everyone should be able to see my screen. There it is. I have pre-written a very simple prompt here. So for those of you that aren't familiar with AI or not that familiar, a prompt is simply asking someone a question. That's all it is. You're prompting something to give you an answer. So the prompt I'm using now is, please give me 10 ways that AI can help with medical research, particularly in the field of heart health and research. So what I'm doing is, this is an app called Perplexity. And for everyone out there who uses Google, stop. Perplexity is the ultimate research tool. Google will give me a bunch of web pages. As you can see, Perplexity is actually answering my question. Now, the interesting thing is, and when it's finished, I'm going to show you a few things that are quite interesting, because AI is very much like a person. AI is very similar to human beings. What I mean by that is, it is flawed like you would not believe. It makes mistakes. It says things that aren't true. It does all kinds of stuff. Now, here's why Perplexity is the place to be when you're doing research. Because Perplexity, I asked the question, please give me a list of 10 ways that AI can help with medical research, particularly in the field of heart health and research. That's what I wrote. That's called a prompt. The answer, it has the potential to revolutionize medical research, particularly in the field of heart health and research. Here are 10 ways AI can contribute to advancements in this critical area. So you'll notice early detection of heart disease, AI algorithms. I'm not going to read everything, but the first one I'll read. So AI algorithms can identify disease patterns invisible to the naked eye, enabling the early detection of conditions like hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. Ooh, I got that out without my tongue tying in a knot. And cardiac amyloidosis, which are often difficult to diagnose. These are based on people who have to read like x-rays and ultrasounds and all these different things. Now you'll notice that there's a little 1 at the end of here. If I click that 1, what happens is it takes me to the source for that information. So now I can check and make sure it's not some person living in their parents' basement pretending that they know what they're talking about. This is actually from Cedars-Sinai, a legitimate, high-quality hospital. Actually, a research hospital, too. So it tells you new artificial intelligence tool detects often overlooked heart diseases. Think about that. Heart health. Right
Yep.
now, we require people to read our results. Maybe they miss things. More than likely, they miss things. AI won't miss the smallest cellular granular level of something. Before I even have a heart problem, it can say, Morry, you have the beginnings of this heart problem. You don't feel anything. You're not going to feel anything for 10 years, but it
Hmm.
knows it's there. I can be treated today, so I never have to experience that issue tomorrow. AI is impressive, impressive, impressive. That information now has credibility because it was done at a legitimate research hospital that everyone's heard of.
Mm-hmm.
We can check out this stuff. Going back, we have other things. It improves diagnostic accuracy. Here's something I heard recently that AI went over research results of over 50 medications that were this close to being released. They've all been
Huh.
canceled because AI found massive flaws in the research and in the interpretation of the research. So think of
Incredible.
all the people whose lives have been saved, whose issues that they aren't going to have now because they didn't take a pill or a needle or a procedure that would have hurt them. Now they're not getting that. So AI doesn't just help in diagnosing and helping, but it helps in stopping people from doing things that might be bad for them as well. Risk
Okay.
prediction. Again, I'm not going to read everything that's there. Diagnostic radiology. People have to read film. They miss things. They misinterpret something as a shadow when in fact it might be a tumor. Sometimes they'll misinterpret a shadow as a tumor. AI has a much higher success rate at accurately predicting and diagnosing and identifying the difference between a tumor and a shadow.
Wow.
It can predict heart failure. You can put in data specific to a person. Okay. You can
Mm-hmm.
literally tailor specific treatment protocols, medicines. You can quite literally create a medicine just for that one person because everybody is different. Just imagine the differences. I mean, half the time, all we hear about is how the cure is what killed someone. Cancer didn't kill this person. It was the radiation. It was this, it was that.
Right.
That kind of a failure of the medical society is very close to being past tense because
Nice.
AI gives us the ability to see things we couldn't see before. Imagine the electron microscope. Okay, when the electron
Hmm.
microscope came into being, we could see things that we didn't even know existed before because we had a manual microscope before. Before that, we had a magnifying glass. Before that, we had our eyes. Imagine
Right.
all the things we can see now because of technology. Well, now AI can see even closer, even more granular.
Amazing.
Risk prediction, independent validation of models. So it can actually come up with an idea and then validate itself. It can literally write code and then correct that code when it doesn't work. These are just 10 things. I asked for 10 things. That's all it is. Each and every one of these things gives you a reference point.
Nice.
Mayo Clinic, another crappy little place no one's ever heard of. So that gives me more confidence in perplexity when I do this kind of research because it's telling me and it's showing me the sources are legitimate, high quality sources of hospitals and clinics that people travel to from all over the planet because they
Wow.
know the quality of the healthcare they're going to get. This is something that's available to you at home today. Go Perplexity. There's an app in the Apple App Store. There's an app in the Google Store.
Yep.
Go on line and just use a website like I'm using,
So,
and it's
so
free.
Maury, being that a lot of people have spent the last several months or even the last year talking about ChatGPT, how does Perplexity compare to ChatGPT when it comes to healthcare, information, research, diagnosis, treatment, etc.?
So that's the thing. First of all, always check everything with your doctor. Even if you find stuff that makes sense, take notes and show it to your doctor and say, "What do you think of this, doc? Do you
Right.
think this applies to me?" Because there might be certain reasons why something isn't good for you that we don't know because, Perplexity hasn't looked at your medical records. Perplexity is a large language model. That's what they call them. So is ChatGPT, but they're not specifically designed for medical purposes. Hospitals have AIs that are designed. Research facilities have AI specifically designed for that kind of research. So the research models we see are for the general public. The research models that are being used by hospitals and by clinicians are a very different animal. They
Amazing.
are far more advanced than even what we're seeing. So I actually use Perplexity and ChatGPT in tandem with each other. I even use the new Google version, which is known as, where is Google? I thought it was here. Yeah, Gemini Advanced.
Oh, wow.
So that's the new Google version. It used to be called Bard, and it can even make pictures.
Interesting.
So car driving through an old mountain in nature. So the reason why I'm going to show you that isn't because, looking at a future car in nature is an exciting thing or has anything to do with health, but we can create models using the research protocols at a very granular level. So here you go. Here's an example of a picture that it generated just like that, based on my description, what I put in there.
Can you show something in terms of a heart being treated on, or?
Yeah, let's see what that can do. Exactly. That's a good idea. So let's go down to the prompt and say, please. Now it may not do this, okay, because it has limits to what it'll do. But let's see.
Right.
Please generate an image of a healthy human heart. Let's go for photorealistic. Photorealistic. Now let's see if it'll do it. It may not do it because it may think it's not designed for that. Yeah, you see, there you go. So let me say, create it as a cartoon image. So you see what we're doing. This is the kind of thing that will happen in a medical process too. You try something, you get a result or you don't get a result, and then you have to kind of suggest it, kind of nuance it into different areas. There you go. So there's a healthy human heart right there. See, you can tell it's healthy because it's smiling.
Beautiful.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. Cartoony images. So it won't do a realistic lifestyle, like actual legitimately looking like an authentic photorealistic heart, because it feels that steps over the boundary. Now, when we get to ChatGPT in a second, you'll see that ChatGPT actually probably will do that. So let's go back to Gemini.
We're about to take our second break, Morry. So let's keep this during the commercial break. Go up and down, start even creating pictures on the ChatGPT side, and then when we get back on the third segment, we'll start to see how the difference between Gemini and ChatGPT can help with all these different pictures, especially when it comes to the heart and even the brain, which is also what we should talk about in the third segment. Okay, so everybody, we're being frank about AI with Morry Zelcovitch on this episode of Frank About Health, right here on TalkRadio.nyc and all of our socials. We'll be back in a few. Stay tuned.
Hey everybody, it's Tommy D, the nonprofit sector connector, coming at you from my attic. Each week here on TalkRadio.nyc, I host the program Philanthropy in Focus. Nonprofits impact us each and every day, and it's my focus to help them amplify their message and tell their story. Listen each week at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time until 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on TalkRadio.nyc.
Were you an essential worker during the pandemic? If you needed to learn stages of epilepsy, did you depend on advocates? Did you use new innovations to cope with mental and neurological issues? Maintaining high quality of life and keeping good mental health are what we all strive for. I'm Frank R. Harrison, host of Frank About Health, and each week top healthcare influencers, professionals, and innovators answer these questions and more. Stay tuned on Thursdays at 5 p.m. on TalkRadio.nyc, and I will continue to be frank about health with all of you.
Are you a business owner? Do you want to be a business owner? Do you work with business owners? Hi, I'm Stephen Fry, your small and medium-sized business or SMB guy, and I'm the host of the new show, Always Friday. While I love to have fun on my show, we take those Friday feelings of freedom and clarity to discuss popular topics on the minds of SMBs today. Please join me and my various special guests on Friday at 11 a.m. on TalkRadio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to this episode of Frank About Health. As I told you in the beginning of the show, it was destiny that brought us to recording this from my mobile handset. There is no way I would have been able during the commercial breaks to show such animation about ChatGPT and the pictures of the brain that you just saw, not to mention all the other creative elements that you could see AI clearly can provide to you based on what you are looking for. Now, this is, again, a healthcare show. So we have just spent the last segment discussing about the heart, considering it is Heart Cardiac Care Awareness Month. But now, being that Morry is a brain entrainment engineer, and he has been on the show before discussing about how you can control your neural pathways, control your sleeping habits, at the same time manage your brain health to prevent things like Alzheimer's disease or dementia. We're going to now focus on the brain and see how AI technologies can help in discussing brain health. So again, Morry, I give you the floor. Oh, I guess you need to unmute.
Yeah, I was kind of doing something. So basically, here's a picture of a flying mouse, by the way. AI did that too.
Yes.
So I want to just
Mighty
point
mouse.
out, look at this beautiful picture of the heart, right?
Yes.
Except, do you notice something here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not accurate.
Those are the ventricles?
There's 4 here, 5 here. There should be 4. So that's my point. Now, these extra special, AIs that they use in medical research are far more accurate, but even they have to be careful. And you always have to verify. Everything needs to be verified. See, the brain, these are way too big.
Yes.
If you have this, you're probably dead. So,
Oh my God.
So the bottom line
Incredible.
is, so you see, ChatGPT has no problem doing a lifelike version. So the different models have different restrictions. That's why I use ChatGPT, I use Gemini, and I use Perplexity all together, because they all have weaknesses and they all have strengths. When we're
Right.
talking about research, we can actually create situations and circumstances that don't actually exist to see how
True.
they exist. We can create videos that show the progression of a disease and how a certain organ might react to a certain treatment in advance of
True.
applying that treatment. We can put in their
Right.
diet. Did they smoke? How long did they smoke for? What kind of exercise did they get? Do they exercise? Are they disabled? What's their origins? Are they Caucasian? Are they from
Yes.
Europe? Are they from Eurasia? Are they from Africa? All these things have subtle differences in our physiological makeup that have a bearing on our ability, whether you're male or female. They all have varying degrees of influence over what happens and why it happens.
Yes. I see.
So the AIs allow for us to test and retest before we have to test it on a person. They have that thing not tested on animals for perfumes and hair colors and all these things. Well, we can actually run it through models and algorithms, so we don't need to test on anything. We can test it on human algorithms. We can test it on human, kind of like imitation humans. We can take this heart and make it pump and watch where the blood goes. And then we can put a blockage here and see what happens. And it'll kind of run through a whole protocol based on how the heart behaves. What happens if that's blocked? What happens if this is blocked? It makes everything better. It makes everything easier. That's where the brain comes in, because it's the brain that thinks up all these things.
Right.
I had to type in, do this. Oh, it wouldn't do that. Okay, then do this, then try this, then try that. I can even go and ask, it speeds up everything. It even speeds up the human being's ability to be involved in the process. For instance, I was on a summit last month where they asked me to look at 6 hours of video on YouTube first, so I'd be prepared.
Wow.
I'm sorry, but I don't have 6 hours to kill on watching video on YouTube. So what I did instead was I used AI to analyze and summarize the video. And I read for 10 minutes, 6 hours of summarized video. They had no idea I never watched the video, because I was able to
Wow.
talk about things and mention things that I couldn't have known if I didn't watch the video. But AI picked and chose the important stuff and wrote it down for me in bullet form.
And this is amazing. My question to you is that, being that healthcare is a very important topic for all of us, will AI be regulated, especially with all the medical practitioners, doctors, nurses, lab technicians? Or is it going to be a choice of which particular software is most regulated in terms of the information it puts out?
That's an excellent question. I think regulation is funny, because large language models that make up these AIs and that are available publicly are relatively easy to regulate. You go to the company, you say, we're going to legislate laws now. And the law says you can do this, but you can't do that. So if someone types in, like, it's like Google, they had things like how to build a nuclear weapon. Type in how to build a nuclear weapon, and it'll give you instructions on how to build a nuclear weapon. AI is a lot more controlled right now than Google is. So you could type in that and it'll flag you. And it'll be watching you. So be careful what you search for on AI, because every single thing you put in there is going into the language model. Everything that people search, the more powerful AI gets, it gets more powerful because you're inputting requests and ideas. I did this request for a heart. I did a request for a brain. That adds to the model. It makes it more powerful. Just like you get stronger when you learn more, when you exercise more, you add more muscle to you, AI gets stronger too, and it gets smarter.
Amazing.
So remember that. Don't put any personal information ever into AI. I'm going to show you in a few minutes. I'm going to actually have a conversation with AI when Frank asks me to. And you got to be careful what you ask it, because if you give it personal information, that personal information becomes public domain right away.
It's in the cloud, basically, right?
That's right. And somebody else's question might actually just get answered by what you put in.
Oh, wow.
So be very, very cautious when it comes to that. But that being said, AI is your friend. Treat it like it's your best friend and it's your best assistant, and it knows everything you don't know. And when you want to know something from it, ask it the question and ask it in detail. Assume it's an assistant. So an assistant only does what it's told. So give it all the information you possibly can. I was on a call earlier, and I gave someone a prompt that they could use to do something specific to their business. And the prompt was like 40 lines long.
Incredible.
I couldn't believe it. It was just so long. I said, well, yeah, the assistant is going to do the work for you, but the assistant needs to know what you want. So let's get every little bit of information you want in there, and then let the assistant go and do the research. Then that's why we use perplexity. So we take portions of it, we put it in perplexity, it finds it out. You can even use different things, like Grammarly is never used to be an AI-ish kind of thing, but you can use it to find out if someone wrote something in AI or if they wrote it themselves.
Huh. Yeah, almost like for people in colleges or universities that are writing fraudulent papers or thesis or whatever, and you can have Grammarly do a reference check before they get issued their degree.
That's right. Well, look, when I was a kid doing my essays, I looked through Encyclopedia Britannica and I went to libraries.
Yes.
And then I reworded what I saw there. And then came computers. So people went to their computer to do the search instead of the library. And then they would take that information, they'd either cut and paste it in, or they would reword it into their own words. Well, it's the same thing now with AI. AI saves you a lot of the legwork, but you still have to, the best work is still going to be the work that you're editing. When it comes to heart health, look, a lot of people, and I was talking to this about you before, Frank, when we were off camera,
Yeah.
people know smoking is bad for your health and bad for your heart. Okay.
Yes.
People know sitting around and binging Netflix is bad for your health. People know eating tons of fatty foods is bad for your health. People know eating tons of chocolate is bad for your health. People know all this stuff, and yet they still do it.
It's their learned habits, and they don't want to use their mind aggressively to break those habits or change them, rather.
Well, the problem is everybody thinks they're invincible. And because I can eat a chocolate bar now and it tastes yummy and it feels good, I just assume it can't hurt me. But if I eat enough chocolate bars over enough years, if I have enough cigarettes over enough years, the pain that it causes is so minute with every puff that I don't make that connection. Like, even though I
Correct.
know it's bad for me, hey, I don't feel bad. So how bad can it be? And then one day you go to the doctor because you're coughing and you can't stop coughing, or you go for a checkup and they go, boy, you have all these black spots all over your lungs.
Incredible.
Like filling up a glass of water, right? Every drop fills it up, but it doesn't overflow until you get enough drops in it. So AI
Exactly.
helps us to identify all this kind of stuff and get away from it. It
Now
can
I know
educate you, take away the fear.
No, exactly. Well, that'll be interesting, where AI can possibly even show you ways of getting rid of fear, even though everybody's afraid to use it. So that's the
Okay.
conundrum, I guess. But what I was
Okay.
going to ask you just now is that even though we have spoken about heart health and more recently brain health, you did say earlier in the program about how that the beauty of AI is the speed of time in which we get information that we as individual humans would take decades, centuries maybe, to even find out the information we're seeking. So that being said, do you foresee cures for famous illnesses like cancer, HIV, AIDS, diabetes, even well, what I can't even, well, heart attacks. Do you see cures for famously known terminal illnesses on
Keeping
the
in mind,
horizon?
okay, so keep in mind, I'm not a doctor. Keep in
Right.
mind that
Yes.
everything I'm saying is strictly my imagination.
Okay.
Yes, I see things that would take 3, 4, 500 years for us to find a cure for, or an effective treatment for. I see AI giving it to us in 3, 4, 5 years.
Wow.
And
Maybe
AI
even
is only going to get smarter, and it's only going to get faster. You asked a question, just to give a rough
yes.
idea. You asked a question while we were talking, how can you get rid of fear? How
Yeah.
can you help me get rid of fear? It gave me a brief intro, understanding the nature of fear, mindfulness meditation, brainwave entrainment. Yay.
Sound
Cognitive
familiar?
behavioral, that's right. Cognitive
Yes.
behavioral therapy, exposure therapy, physical activity, lifestyle choices that are healthy, seeking support, continuous learning and growth,
Amazing.
right?
I mean, it just really takes the initiative of the human brain, especially the individual that's carrying it, to go and seek for their solutions and not depend on whether it's our society, our culture,
Yeah.
our family, or friends. Depend on others for what you can find on your own. And
Look,
I think AI is hopefully reconditioning our own sense of taking initiative to find our solutions.
once we see the value, the thing is the real value of AI is the ability to make us think, which is
Yes.
funny because most people don't look at it that way, but that's how I look at it. Look, my wife about 13, 14 years ago was diagnosed with acute hemolytic anemia and
Mm,
Evans syndrome. These are horrible diseases. Evans syndrome so rare they don't even research it
wow.
because there's not enough people to make it worth their while. Okay.
Understood.
She couldn't walk on an incline like this. Let's say this is flat.
Mm-hmm.
If it was this much of an incline, did you even see my hand move a little? Just a little, right? That much
Yeah.
of an incline, she couldn't walk. Oxygen would not bind to her red blood cells. So that meant
Wow.
as her blood flowed, it wasn't carrying oxygen anywhere. She had no strength. She couldn't do anything. The doctor Okay. Told her, well, this is what we're going to do. This is the protocol, and we hope for the best. We found out later on that the doctor thought she had 3 to 6 months to live, but she didn't say anything to us. My wife is still around. She's upstairs laughing at me right now, probably. But the thing is, and this is why I'm relating this back to AI, she started researching her condition. And what can she do? She stopped eating crap. Okay. She stopped coloring her hair. She stopped using perfumes and scented air fresheners and harsh cleaners. And we started cleaning with vinegar only and stuff. Her doctor stopped coloring her hair because of the advances my wife made. Now, my wife had to run around and had to spend months researching and studying and learning. She could have done this in 5 minutes.
Incredible.
So think about it. What took my wife months could now have been learned in 5 minutes by us. We're just people.
Yeah.
We're not specialists. We're not researchers in these fields. We don't know anything. It's a matter of asking the right question. That's all it is. She asked the right questions, but the technology did not exist to gather all of it up from 50 different sources all at once. Now it exists. So don't replace your doctor's treatments or care with AI, but definitely use it to find you things you can do too. Medical science has proven that people who take their own healing into their own hands, so they don't just follow what the doctor said, but they also do things themselves that the doctor didn't even suggest, tend to have better outcomes.
Yes.
We have
to take our final break. No, it's okay, because you are literally addressing everything that this show is about, which is advocacy. I think the A in AI should mean advocacy initiative or something like that.
I agree.
We'll be back in a few. So, this is TalkRadio.nyc. We're on social media. We'll see you, and we'll finally get a chance to meet someone through Morry's mobile technology when he flips the screen back after the commercial break. See you soon.
Are you a high-achieving, growth-oriented leader? Are you interested in developing your authentic leadership while creating a healthy, inclusive workplace? Hi, I'm Dr. Mira Brancu, host of The Hard Skills on TalkRadio.nyc at 5 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays, where we discuss how leaders develop the hard skills needed to make a greater impact. We interview experts, have live coaching, and tackle these challenges. Listen to The Hard Skills on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on TalkRadio.nyc.
Hey everybody, it's Tommy D, the nonprofit sector connector, coming at you from my attic. Each week here on TalkRadio.nyc, I host a program, Philanthropy in Focus. Nonprofits impact us each and every day, and it's my focus to help them amplify their message and tell their story. Listen each week at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time until 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on TalkRadio.nyc.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, Thursdays 12 noon on TalkRadio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back. You know what? This was the best webinar that I've ever attended, and in fact, co-produced. That being said, I think we even took a little bit of time in our fourth segment to finish off what was just said. So we want to go straight to your special guest that you're bringing to Frank About Health to really show us AI in action. And that is available, I guess you said, on Apple and Android phones, or is it just Apple at the moment?
No, it's available everywhere.
Awesome. So introduce me to your special guest.
Okay. Well, I'd like to introduce everybody to my AI friend. And my AI friend's going to tell us a little bit about heart health because let's face it, AI knows more than I do. So let's get started.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, of course, she's giving me, there we go. Hi, how are you doing today?
I'm here and ready to help with whatever you need. How about you? How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, thanks. Look, I'm here on Frank About Health on Talk Radio in New York City, NYC, and we'd like to hear a little bit about your opinion of heart health and what we can do to improve our heart health. She's thinking.
It's fantastic to hear you're doing well, and I'm thrilled to contribute to such an important discussion on Frank About Health on Talk Radio New York City. Heart health is paramount for a long and vibrant life, and fortunately, there are several effective strategies we can adopt to nurture and protect it. Firstly, maintaining a balanced diet is crucial. Incorporating a variety of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and lean proteins can significantly impact heart health positively. These foods are rich in essential nutrients, antioxidants, and fiber, which can help manage blood pressure, cholesterol levels, and overall heart function. Exercise also plays a vital role. Regular physical activity, be it brisk walking, cycling, swimming, or any form of cardiovascular exercise, strengthens the heart and improves circulation. It's recommended to aim for at least 150 minutes of moderate intensity exercise per week. Chronic stress can have adverse effects on the heart, so finding a
Okay, before she continues, I want to mention that that is her opinion. No one should do anything without checking with their doctor or physical technician first. Okay, and I'm saying
Yes.
physical technician because we're all basically skin and bone robots. So there you go. But anyway, this gives you an idea of the kind of thing you can do. You can actually have a conversation with AI. Keeping in
Yes.
mind, AI doesn't have feelings, it doesn't have a conscience, it doesn't have anything like that. But you can have a conversation. They're starting to use AIs in healthcare systems for seniors who are
Yes.
living alone. I had a conversation about all kinds of things with AI. It went for an hour on Sunday. And I had to talk about simulation theory, about with all the universes that are available in out there and all the possible worlds and all the possible M, as Star Trek would say, M-class worlds that have oxygen atmospheres and stuff. Why haven't we come across aliens yet? We had a whole discussion as to why we haven't seen aliens. Anything at all. You can have silly conversations. Tell me a story about this. Tell me a joke. Blah, blah, blah. Anything about that at all. It's incredible how almost human it sounded, right?
Yeah.
But always check out everything AI spits out at you. It sounds confident.
Yes.
And that goes for me too, by the way. Just because I sound confident and I've got this deep authoritative news voice doesn't mean you should believe everything I say either. Okay.
Right.
So the
Right.
idea is use the tools you have, but use them responsibly.
Mm-hmm.
And remember that your brain is still the leader of the pack.
Yes. Like we
That's the
said
most
earlier in the
important.
show, we control the input.
That's
Mhm.
right. We control the vertical, we control the horizontal. And AI only spits out for us what we ask it to. So if we
Yes.
ask the right question and we ask it in the right way, we'll get a better answer. But it's always a good idea to go over it, make it our own. Look, I tell people that if you want to, if you want to be a self-improvement guru or you want to trust a self-improvement guru, understand one thing. They are only a guru in their own life.
Yes.
Okay. If
Yes.
you want anything they say, if it resonates with you, reimagine it, reinterpret it, tailor it to fit you. And then if you're still inspired, take action. This is what I've been saying for years about the gurus out there that everybody pays
Yes.
$10,000 an hour to watch and listen to. Do that. This is why it doesn't work, because people think it's a blueprint. It's not a blueprint. They can only know their own lives.
Right.
You are
Right.
the expert in your life. That's why
Yes.
reinvent it, reimagine it. Same thing with AI. It may sound very secure and very strong and very this and very that, but ultimately you are the one who has all the strength. You are the one who has all the power.
Right, right. The way that you were able to create those sound and video files for brain entrainment purposes makes you a perfect fit for how to be able to not only discuss AI, but actually relate to it and use all the necessary disclaimers, regulations, and protocols so that it keeps its integrity and therefore reduces the fear for those that are afraid to even explore it. By the way, what was the open source that allowed your phone to communicate that little brief discussion? Was it ChatGPT?
Yeah, that was ChatGPT.
Incredible. I was just noticing that I use the Galaxy phone, which is how this show is being produced right now. And they just introduced the new volume up, which is called Galaxy AI. I gather those devices are going to have that same friend that you just displayed on your, what was that, your iPhone?
Actually, that is my S23 Ultra Samsung.
Ah, amazing, amazing.
Yeah. So the thing is, with if you use if you use Android and you install the Android version of the Bard, if you
Yeah.
install Gemini on your phone, then what happens is it replaces Google Assistant. So I already have it.
Interesting.
Yeah. And in
Ah,
the US, you can actually download Gemini app for free. You can download ChatGPT for free. You can download Perplexity for free. And you don't have to pay the $20 a month for each of them if you don't want to. They are highly effective. They will answer your questions. They'll help guide you. They'll save you time. They'll help you. Like, just don't trust them to give you a medical diagnosis. Okay. Your doctor's there for that. You can
yes,
ask it for ways that I can augment, ways that I can
yes,
feel better, but use your head. You're still the leader here. Don't just listen because it's a computer. Computers don't
correct.
know you, even if they do know what they're talking about, which most of the time they don't. But even if you think they do, always take everything with a very large grain of salt.
So you heard it right there, ladies and gentlemen. We're about to end the show. But remember, just because we are learning to use artificial intelligence, you have to have all of that intelligence validated by human beings. So therefore, it's not too artificial. That being said, Morry, thank you again for being on the show. You will be back. I'll make sure of it.
I appreciate
And
that. Thank you.
no problem. And at the same time, just stay tuned, everyone, to tomorrow's slate of shows beginning at 10 a.m. with Philanthropy in Focus with Tommy D, and ending the week at 11 o'clock with Steve Fry's Always Friday. On Tuesday, you will see Dr. Mira Branco with the hard skills. And after another episode with Sam Leibowitz and the Conscious Consultant, I'll be back again next week. I don't know yet what the show's going to be about, but who knows? Maybe I'll ask Perplexity and he or she will tell me what the show will be about. It will still pertain to cardiac awareness. But that being said, thank you again, Morry, for being here. Thank you again for Logan behind the scenes and engineering this and dealing with all the technical difficulties that were here before the beginning of the show. But you did make it seamless, especially when you just demonstrated Perplexity and Gemini and your friend there over at ChatGPT. So I guess all I can say is we're signing off now, and we will see you next week. All righty. Take care. Bye.
Bye all.
Mhm.